In this video, I want to cover the possibility of another black swan event, a global market flash crash similar to the one that we had in March 2020. Now, I'm going to present to you in this video some facts, some ideas, some charts, and my thoughts also, and then you are more prepared for whatever is coming our way. I want to ask you, if you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, share it with a friend, tag someone. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let's get this out to more people so that more people can be more prepared and make better financial decisions. All right, so let's start this out by looking back at the Bitcoin chart back in March of 2020 and what ended up happening there. We'll also take a look at some of the other charts, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, so that we can basically have a clear picture of what happened there. And this is what happened in March 2020. Probably many of you watching this right now will remember, because that was when Bitcoin dropped here from like 10,000 all the way back down to 4,000, and it happened really, really quickly and things were scary. But keep in mind, that ended up being the ultimate buying opportunity to be able to get in. If you had risk capital, you bought that flash crash and you held on. Look at what came afterwards. And I think if we do get a black swan event once again, I think it's going to be a similar situation where, yes, initially it's going to be very scary. A lot of people are going to get liquidated. But if you are prepared for it and you have risk capital available, that might just end up being the best buying opportunity that we get. Again, it's going to be a big if, because I do see other people talking about black swans. I'm here making this video about it that you're watching right now. So usually the whole idea behind a black swan is that it's unpredictable, that nobody expects it. And if there's too many people expecting it, it's probably not going to happen. But let's look at the facts, let's look at the information that we have, and then you can make a decision based on that. So you can see here very quickly, in the space of 4 weeks, we dropped from 10K to all the way down to 4K. So that's a 60% drop in Bitcoin. Obviously, the rest of the crypto markets got slaughtered too, and obviously the stock markets and things did too. Now, besides the fact that it was on the chart, it ended up being a technical play, and I'll show you in a second why. Also, what the black swan event was, or what the trigger was obviously the whole health crisis where they locked down the world and there was so much uncertainty and fear, like in the zombie movies, what's going to happen? Is this the end of civilization as we know it? That was a lot of fear around there. Everything was locked down and the whole market sold off very, very quickly. But once things started getting back under control and it started seeming not as scary, obviously there was a lot of stimulus, a lot of money printing that happened. And after that, look at what happened. Obviously the stock markets and basically all risk assets went on this massive, massive run after that flash crash. So keep that in mind, because at the moment, financial conditions are also not good around the world. So if we were to get another flash crash like that, it would be a perfect excuse to start up those money printers again and to print trillions and trillions of dollars, inject that into the economy, and have another final melt up. And then I think we're going to get some sort of global extended market crash. But again, I'm saying this now, I'll say it again in a conclusion towards the end of the video. I do think that we still have higher to go in risk assets. Hopefully a final melt-up bull euphoria phase that puts everything else to shame, where everything just goes nuts for like 12 months or maybe 18 months. Maybe shorter than that. Maybe say 6 to 18 months, somewhere in that ballpark, where everything goes insane, tons of money is printed, and everyone gets euphoric. It just goes higher and higher and higher. And that'll probably be a top for maybe multiple years. That is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Obviously, it's all just ideas and calculated guesses, so we'll end up seeing what's happening, but that is what I'm thinking at this point in time. Okay, so why a potential flash crash or a black swan? Well, if you look here on the charts, just technically, what is happening now is Bitcoin has lost its 200-week moving average. Now, the 50-week moving average is still there at 24K, so that's kind of support, but we are kind of setting up here at a point where we could see some sharp drops. And what I want to show you here also is look at March 2020. So while it was a black swan, what ended up happening here is, if you zoom in, you see this inefficiency, this fair value gap here on the weekly, where the price after the 2018 bear market basically shot up. It kind of left this void over here. It went all the way up, and on that drop back down, it just came back down to fill the inefficiency So technically that was perfect. It hit that and then it bounced back up. So we have something similar here potentially, okay? So if you look back at the whole bull market run over here, there's actually still one inefficiency here that wasn't filled, and that's around the $12,000 level. I thought that would get filled. Many people thought it would get filled back in the 2022 bear market. There is no guarantee that it still will, but look at what's happening. We had this rally, okay, when we were expecting this drop to 12K. We didn't get it back then. Big rally, and people who got bearish at the bottom got squeezed out, liquidated. But now you can see it kind of rolled over, double top here with a bit of a bearish divergence. We broke this ascending trend line, and we are very close to losing this level here. If we lose the 24K level, the 50-week moving average, I think there's chance here to retest the lows, or maybe even to fill the fair value gap here at 12K before continuing a massive run and bull market. That is my theory at this point. We're obviously only going to know that in about a year from now, but we have the halving coming up in April, right? That's 8 months away. Historically, that's kicked off every major bull market over the past 12 years in crypto. Again, I think this time is still going to be the same, but we are kind of set up for a potential black swan where something happens, some external factors, everything gets majorly sold off in a short period of time. Then they step in. They don't want everything to fail and crash completely. And then the stimulus starts, the liquidity starts, trillions are printed. We run back up. We have a bull market cycle. And then the real top ends up coming when everyone gets really euphoric. That is my theory at this point in time. And there are some fundamental factors here that going around that we can look at that are potentially here to ignite something like a black swan event. So if you Google this, I don't want to talk about it too much, but they're already talking about potential new lockdowns, a potential new crisis and things like that. So the word has been circulating the last few weeks. Headlines are out there. So if that happens again, of course, and everything gets locked down, that could be a very similar trigger to 2020 in March, what happened over there. There's also all sorts of other stuff going on, like for example here on October 4th, a nationwide test of the emergency alert system is planned in the US in the event of a national disaster, right? So they're kind of warning us about that stuff. Recently we just had this, a network-wide failure of UK air traffic control systems. Airspace is reportedly shut. And then, of course, all the financial data and the charts just look really bad. You can see here the default rates on credit card loans from small lenders is at the highest level since 1991. You can see here on the chart how high that is. The searches for the term soft landing are at record highs, so people are hoping for a soft landing. How well can that end up going? You can see over here the CBOE volatility index, the VIX, has closed under 19 for 64 consecutive trades, the longest streak since early 2020. Again, March 2020, look at the volatility that we had. So a lot of these things are potentially lining up for something to happen. Then we have student loans that are going to restart on October the 1st, and 45% of student loan borrowers expect to go delinquent when payments resume. We also have the tightest monetary policy seen in the US since the 1980s. You can see at what level that is. And you can see here these peaks. I've talked about this before. After the rate hike cycle peaks, we get the real recession, right? So they're talking about recession before the time. No, based on the data, the recession comes after the rate hike cycle peaks. But according to this, rate cuts are not expected until June 2024. So that kind of also helps add some more legitimacy or some more confluence to my theory that we still have a final melt-up that is coming. Because based on the data, again, the global market crashes, so the 2000 crash and the 2008 crash, they only came after the first cut came after a long rate hike cycle, and sometimes many months after that. So if we only get our first rate cut in middle of 2024, so June or July 2024. Again, if it's all probabilities, nobody knows the future for sure. Going off the data, going off what's happening here, so that gives us here another 9 months, and then maybe if there's a couple months after that before the real crash starts, maybe we're only looking at a real market crash starting somewhere in September or October of 2024, which gives us a whole year potentially for that melt up phase. And if we do get some sort of black swan within the next 1 or 2 months, that's still ample time. Let's say everything crashes, super scary, super panicky, but then they step in, they print tons of money, lots of liquidity gets injected, we get a major melt up for the next, say, 6 to 12 months after that, and then everything peaks. That is kind of my theory right now. Ultimately, only time is going to tell. It's just all probabilities and calculated guesses, like I said, but there is some data here behind it and some logic behind it. So let's see what we get. If you look at this chart, just what I'm trying to say here is also be prepared. Okay, so make sure that whatever you are invested with in the crypto markets and in financial markets in general, stocks, everything else, you have to be prepared for a black swan event like this, a flash crash where maybe we drop 30, 40, 50%, depending on the stock markets, maybe even more in crypto markets in a short period of time. So you got to be in such a position that you are able to withstand that, both financially and mentally, right? If you see that and you panic sell because you're over invested and you sell the very lows before it rips and starts a new bull market, you are going to be kicking yourself for the next decade or longer, right? So imagine it drops all the way to 12K, you sell the bottom because you get so scared and you're over invested, you sell, you take the massive loss, and then it bounces back up and goes to, I don't know, maybe it goes to 100K by the end of next year, right? Imagine that, and you sold the bottom. That would be terrible. So I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to go that low. Maybe it doesn't. But it's better to be prepared for it mentally and financially, be in a position where if it drops that much, you'll be okay. You know, that you don't need to panic sell because you have plenty of money or income coming in to take care of your living expenses and other things. And then ideally you want to be in a position where you even have spare risk capital available for if that does come. I think it's going to end up presenting an incredible opportunity, just like here in March of 2020. So just like here, you can see that was the ultimate buying opportunity. If it does happen, say it happens like this, right? Like I've projected it forward, the same movement. If this does happen, this would be the ultimate buying opportunity, and then potentially run it all the way back up and much higher, the halving, all the other things I've presented in this video. So I hope this helps you have some idea, it helps you position yourself better, it helps you manage your risk better. Either way, what I'm saying is be prepared for this scenario if we do get it, and if you play it right, if we get it, this could be incredibly, incredibly profitable. So if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. Please share it on social media, you know, tweet it, put it on wherever you want, on Facebook, email it to a friend. If you found this helpful, let's get some more eyeballs on this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in the next video.